All right, everyone, we are back hanging out again for another Wednesday night or whatever time it is for you live stream. My name is Melissa. I am the community manager for the Jane Austen Literacy Foundation, hanging out with Mindy and Marigold tonight. And we are going to have a really fun time talking about books, bookish things, Pride and Prejudice, like all the book stuff tonight is what's happening. So Mindy, do you want to give us a little introduction to you and tell everybody hi? And we were just talking about how you're in short sleeves, so we're all very jealous.
Well, hi everyone. I'm Mindy Kilgrove Harris. It is my pleasure to be with you all this evening. I am very excited about books today. I had a pretty stellar day as far as I am concerned because one of my books was published today. So,
Congratulations.
release day.
That's amazing. And Marigold, who is representing with a book scarf. I mean, come on. Give us a little welcome from you. What's going on?
Hi, and good evening from 30-degree weather over here. It's a scarf and the sweater. A bit chilly today, but I'll take it over the teens. So I'm doing better than I was before.
You and I aren't like scarfed up as much as we were last week when we came on to chat. So, well, we're still going to get cozy as we talk about books this evening. We have a slew, at least I do, and I know you guys, even if you don't have books with you to show off, we've got a lot of books to get through. Last week felt like it flew by so quickly with what we were chatting about in the trailer we watched for Miss Austen. So we'll see if we get through it faster this week. I doubt we will because we're gonna start talking about book stuff and get lost in time. I did want to remind anyone that's catching this that if you don't see us at the time that we're actually live streaming, you can head over to the Jane Austen Literacy Foundation YouTube channel and watch them back at any time that you like. So we did have quite a few people join us from last week's, which is amazing after the fact. So we're happy whenever you're joining us. And if you would like to leave in a comment where you're watching from, join in the conversation. We can see your chats as we're live streaming. So it's always fun to hear the books that you like and that you're enjoying as we're conversing amongst ourselves. So we have, again, amazing graphics that Mindy created for us this week, which thank you, Mindy, so much for your labor of love of doing these amazing graphics for us. It really makes it a lot more fun when we can visualize what we're chatting about.
My pleasure.
So first off, we have Jane Austen's Lost Letters. This is what we're reading for our book club this month. So it is front and center. I am really excited about this book. Just the cover instantly like has such vibes about it. What do you guys think? Are you like the type of readers that see a cover and you can immediately like it's a yes or no?
Marigold?
I definitely choose by the cover. I know that sounds like don't judge a book, but I am one that like totally inverse. I don't know if it's because I'm a designer that's like I just attracts me, but
Yeah.
I think this one really makes it like, oh, that's my kind of book.
Absolutely.
Well,
Mindy, are you a
I
cover?
don't necessarily jump at covers, but I am usually a title person and I like this title. I like the little bit of alliteration in there, but the cover, it is beautiful. You're exactly right. So I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to this one because it's got a mystery in it, and I think that'll be fun.
I think this is, I think, our first mystery that we're doing for the book club. So I'm really excited to see how it goes with everybody. And I have to say, the way that they did the candle on the cover that like gives you that sense of like warmth and light around it is really cool. So yeah, so this is what we're reading for this month. If you want to come and join us, there is still time. Click on over to Patreon. Just look for the Jane Austen Literacy Foundation community over there, and you will find us. Do you guys both have your books already? Are you like an early starter for February's book club, or are you waiting till it's officially February?
I haven't ordered mine yet, so hopefully it's going to come in soon when I order because that's going to be hard to wait.
Yeah.
I do have mine. It's an ebook, so I'm ready to roll with it. But I think I'm going to wait a few more days. That way, we're closer to the actual discussion,
Yeah.
and I'm a little more fresh with everything that happens.
Perfect. And I have to say, I lucked out and I stumbled across mine at a library used book sale. And I already had the book picked out, and then it was just sitting there on the shelf, and I was like, it's meant to be. It is coming home with me. That was super exciting. All right, let's dive into our book discussion. So some of our favorite books with the word book in the title. This one's really fun because who doesn't love a book with book in the title? Do you guys have any picked out that you love, that you're reading, that you want to get to?
I was going to do it. I actually just started Lost Words, the Lost Words bookshop today. I'm about like I think 2 hours in, and I'm very interested in it. It's a very interesting book.
Is it? Can you give us a little bit of the premise? I think I've seen this cover before, but I don't remember what it's about.
The main character, which now I'm forgetting her name. It's a very unusual name too. Love. I just love it. But she works at a bookstore, and I know a character is really wanting to date her, and she's just not interested because I think they kind of went out before. So it's very beginning. I haven't gotten into the meat of it yet, but it does flash back into her past, and it comes back. So it is keeping track of the 2 times, but it's not as difficult as the first impressions where it was like 2 different people.
Yeah. I'm reading First Impressions now, and I get what you mean about the dual timelines, and I'm trying to hurry up so I can talk about it with you guys. So hopefully I'll have that done in the next couple of days. Mindy, how about you? Any picks for books with the word book in the title?
Mine is actually the next slide, I think, maybe. There it is. Excuse me, The Book Thief. I had the opportunity, gosh, it was probably 10 years ago now, but I used to teach this book when I was an English teacher. I taught sophomores, and so I would try to do pieces of world literature. And this one was very appealing, not just to me, but to the students as well, because for those of you who haven't read it, the narrator is deaf. So we love to, of course, English teachers, we love to have that bit of personification. But it's also set during World War II in Germany. So I was fascinated by the style in which it was written. And it is a little bit bigger book, is one of those where I hand it to my students and they go, oh no. What makes you think I'm going to read this? But they loved it so much.
Yeah.
And I really just enjoyed getting to do this kind of literature with them.
And I have to say, my son read this last year in 8th grade, and he absolutely loved it and said it was one of the best books he'd ever read. And I did a post asking, what's the one book you think everybody should read on social media? And this one came up actually quite a few times, even from adults. So I am meaning to get to it at some point in time because I do think it has so much praise, even though it's a heavy topic, that it must be worth reading because it keeps popping up again and again.
I feel like if you put it on your TBR, you'll be done with it in a week because, like I said, it looks like a gigantic tome, but it moves at such a fast pace, and it's so engaging, and I think you'll enjoy it.
Yeah, perfect. I have on the complete opposite side of something lighthearted with book in the title. I have Book Lovers by Emily Henry. Emily Henry is super popular, I feel like, in the last few years, and if you haven't read any of her books, they always have a character that works in some way, shape, or form in the book industry. So whether they're an author or editor or work in the publishing world or something like that. But Book Lovers is really fun. She is a literary agent in this one, I believe. So really, I enjoyed it. Like Mindy, I think you would really enjoy it working in the industry. I'm sure Marigold, you would enjoy it as well. Just a easy, lighthearted, kind of beachy sort of read with some romance in it. All right, next we have some of our favorite books that feature libraries. This is a really fun one that I had to think about a bit. Who has the Midnight Library on their list?
That was me. You too, Marigold.
This was another used bookstore find, and this actually was one of the most commented books when I posted of a book that people don't stop thinking about, and this came up really frequently. So have either one of you read it? I have
Yes.
not read it. Yeah.
I have.
Oh, you both have read it. Okay, now I'm behind on all the reading, you guys. I'm trying
I
to keep
think
up.
I think I read this one in a day. I mean, it was just
Wow.
yeah, it was the kind that you cannot put down, and it was there are some instances in it which are very emotional, and I think they're designed to be that way, right, Marigold? It's like they're tapping into your emotions as well, and I just didn't wanna put it down. Had to keep going.
I felt the same. It was one that like I couldn't read all in one day, but it was just I couldn't wait to my next reading time because I was so enjoying it.
I love books like that when you're like thinking about it, you're like purposely trying to rearrange your day and when you can sneak in any times to keep reading. So good. As you're watching, if you've read any of these books, please let us know in the comments. It's really fun to see. Or if you have your own books from our prompts that we have that you love, let us know that as well. We're all going to be adding to our to be read list a lot, I feel like, throughout these slides. So some of our favorite books written by indie authors that include bookish themes. The Secret in the Stacks looks so good.
Marigold, did you have something? I feel like you had maybe something for the last one. Did you have something?
Oh, they're books for the library. But I had the personal librarian and library book.
I was trying to find my copy of that and I could not find it, but I know I have it here somewhere.
I highly suggest both of them because I thoroughly enjoyed them. It's like I've read them and I don't want to give them back. Like usually I just like donate them, my books, but there are certain ones that I feel like I may read them again because I enjoyed them so much.
The Personal Librarian is one of those books that whenever I see a used copy, I buy it and I have a little stack so I can give them away to people because I think it's like such a good book.
I agree. Both of that were great, but the Personal Librarian, I think anyone I've talked to about books, I'd be like, have you read this? Because it's really good.
Yeah. Especially if somebody's looking to get into historical fiction as well. Like it's a great starting point to kind of introduce you to it.
I agree.
Well, now I'm behind because I haven't read either of those.
I feel better now on my reading
Okay.
life. Thank you, Mindy. And stop me if I'm flying through the slides and you guys have any books to add to it. Share away. So we're back to The Secret in the Stacks. We have the Bookshop Detective Series. Who has read this one and has it recommended?
So when Marigold told us that her New Year's resolution was to read books with book or a library or something related in the title, um, I actually had a New Year's resolution to read more books written by indie authors.
Love
And so I have been, a lot of them I can get through ebooks, which is so wonderful because you can kind of fly through them. And this was actually, I would consider this more of a novella because it's
it.
nice and short. Um, I mean, a couple of hours, lickety split. The author, I was unfamiliar with her, so she was new to me. But the character she creates is really vibrant, and she does an excellent job with descriptions. So the plot wasn't my favorite; had a really interesting twist, and jury's still out on how I felt about that. But the author's writing style I thought was very good. So I think I'm going to try some more books by Kat Finn.
I love it. Marigold, did you have one? Is it in the next slide or?
I have one from this one. Or
I do have a question for both of you because in one of our previous week's conversations, we were kind of talking about reading and then listening as well as we're reading to kind of take it all in a bit more. And I've been a Kindle Unlimited reader, but I actually paused that for a bit. But I love to read indie authors and discover ones on there. So I was looking at Kobo Plus because I've been hearing a lot of people talking about Kobo Plus and how much they enjoy it. And I saw you can get the package that they have is ebooks and audiobooks combined for one price, and it's a great price. So I was curious if either one of you had experience with Kobo at all, or how do you typically find your indie authors that you're reading?
The only experience I have with Kobo is when I was putting some of my books on there. But as an author, if you are part of Kindle Unlimited, you cannot have your books
Right.
elsewhere. So I ended up going with Amazon and Kindle Unlimited. And then my books that are audiobooks are also through Amazon, ACX, and Audible. So I know a little bit about Kobo, and it is extremely user friendly. Even when I was publishing, I thought that, wow, this is going quickly. This is working really well.
Yeah.
So I think it's worth a shot.
Yeah.
But
I just want to experiment and see what it's like because I've never tried it. And yeah, obviously I know exclusivity clause with Amazon. So there might be some totally new indie authors out there that I've never discovered before. And Marigold, I was thinking of you when I saw the added audiobooks as part of the package. I was like, ooh, this is really intriguing because that is one thing. I don't know if you guys have the same with your libraries, but it can be a really long wait for audiobooks when you're
mhm.
requesting them from the library, much longer than ebooks, I find.
It does take a really long time. I now put so many library cards in my thing, and then you thought, but there's like certain books. And the one I had started originally for this with the Lost Bookstore, I ran out of my Libby out of time, and so now I have to wait for it. And I want to see what the rest of it's like. So I'm like, do I want to buy it or no? Now that it started another one, I'm like, okay, I'll wait, and we'll see how far I can wait. But I like the app that I'm going to have to try it because I have not heard of it before.
Yeah. I have a Kindle, so I've been trying to figure out a workaround because obviously they're competitors, so I can't send Kobo Plus books to my Kindle. But then I remembered that my son has an Amazon Fire that he's not using for anything. So, and that I did find out a hack so you can get the app on there. So I'm going to give it a try. I'll report back later how it works, and we can keep having a conversation about indie authors and discovering them because I do think there's a lot of great ones out there to find. And I do have a book to add to this bookish themes is, and this might be for a later slide too, like they fit for so many slides, but it's Lost Coast Literary. I don't know if you can see the cover there. It's the cutest cover. And this is Ellie Alexander. She traditionally publishes a ton of cozy mysteries, so you might be familiar with her name through those series, but this is indie published by her. And it has a little bit of it's not a genre that I normally read. So I want to say like magical elements a little bit about this book that she finds, and her grandmother leaves her this house that I don't want to give too much away, but if you're interested in if it's like you love the kind of coastal scene, bookish vibes, I believe she's an editor, our main character, so it kind of like touches all of those bookish things that you might enjoy. So this is a great one. I would highly recommend checking that one out if you're looking for an indie author to try. All right, some of our favorite books with librarians as the main characters. This is a fun one.
This is my slide here with Charlene Harris. I have read everything she's written, and I mean, at this point, she probably has 30 plus books. I don't even know how many are in the Aurora Tea Garden mystery series, probably a dozen, I think. But for people who don't know Charlene Harris, by name, she is the author of the True Blood series, or it's really the Sookie Stackhouse series, but it became True Blood, the TV show as well. And then this series, Aurora Tea Garden, is on Hallmark. So this is available if you like. I know Marigold, you're with me. Love your Hallmark movies. But have you ever watched any Aurora Tea Garden?
I haven't watched them all, and I didn't same author as True Blood. I can't even. I'm so surprised.
I love Aurora Tea Garden. To me, I started reading her, years ago, and I was so in love with the fact that she is a librarian in a small town who uses her knowledge and her ability to do research to solve mysteries.
So much fun. I love that. And
Really,
you can watch along too as well. So it's a double bonus. Let's see for this one. So I have a little bit of a cheat, but I have the reading list, and I haven't read this one yet, but it's on in my stack to get to, and it's about a widower in West London. His teenage granddaughter actually works at the local library, and he's trying to find a way to connect to her. She's very withdrawn and shy and kind of quiet, and that's why she loves working at the library. And so she finds, I think it's a reading list in a book, To Kill a Mockingbird, that somebody has returned. And so they kind of connect over reading the books from the list together. And it just sounds like the sweetest premise of this grandfather connecting with his granddaughter and through books and all of that. And so I've seen it on multiple lists of books about books. So when I saw it, I had to grab that one and get to it. So the reading list is this one. All right, some of our favorite books with titles that relate to writing. Who has the missing manuscript of Jane Austen? I'm going to guess Mindy.
Yes. I talk about this one all the time because I feel like I came to it really late in the game. Like every other Janeite I knew had already read it. And, and then I found it, and I really think it's fabulous.
It's so
Marigold,
good.
have you read this one?
I actually have it, and I have not read it yet. It's on my list.
I think you're going to really appreciate it because you like the juxtaposition where it bounces back and forth from the past to the present. And that is in this book. She does this really well, Siri James. And for me, with historical fiction, as far as research is concerned, I feel like she goes above and beyond in that area. And so when she does dip back in time, as a reader, I felt like she knew what she was talking about, and she was almost educating us as to how things used to be.
Yeah. She's such a good author. Like, I've never read anything by her that did not completely capture me for the day. And hers, I think her books are one of those, like, you want to just stop doing everything else to get back to it, especially this one, to like find out what's going to happen. And it really leaves you wishing for more Austen too when you finish it. You're like, please, somebody discover some hidden book somewhere that we can enjoy. That's a great pick, though.
Absolutely.
Marigold, did you have any for this category?
I didn't. I was gonna say I don't think I've had anyone with writing as the title, unfortunately.
Let's see, what do I have in my stack here? I did have for the contemporary romance readers, it's not directly related, but it's called How to End a Love Story. This is another one that pops up on a lot of lists, and I am late to the game, but I have this used copy, so I'm going to get to it. I believe it's, again, she was a best-selling author, and I don't remember what he does. Insert romance. But yeah, another fun one. I thought I love books when they're writing books too, is a lot of fun.
I do have one. I don't know if you've probably heard of it. I don't know if you read it, but it's On Writing by Stephen King.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
I really love this book. This one I've actually probably read about 4 times at least.
Oh, wow.
And I have multiple copies. It's just one of those great great learning of how he got started, how his process was, and how he even down to how he wrote the book. It was interesting because it says how Amy Tam had told him that he needed to write the book.
Oh, wow.
So they're in a band together. She's a singer, and they were talking about how like no one's really written a book about writing, and she's like, well, that's what you need to do. So I thought
I love it. I have a copy of that laying around here somewhere that I saw in a free little library, and I was like, ooh, that looks really good. So I grabbed it. Now you've got me intrigued that I need to read through that.
I feel like any writer should read it, or at least someone who hasn't been published, because it makes you feel like, okay, maybe there's hope. Little sneak peek is there, like when he got rejection letters, he'd have a stake on the side of his bed, and he would put all the rejection letters piled up, and it just like Stephen King got rejected how many times, like it just, you wouldn't believe it. So it gives us early writers who haven't been published hope that maybe one day.
That feels very on brand for him to do with his rejection letters. I have a client that every time she was rejected, she had a picket fence, and she's very artistic, and she would paint flowers and turn something that could feel negative into something beautiful. And then at the end, she had flowers all over it. But then when she was accepted, she turned it into like a full piece of art, which is really cool.
Wonderful. Wow.
Yeah. All right, some of our favorite books with authors as the main characters. This is a fun one. Does anybody have anything for this?
I don't think I have that one.
So I had, just wanted to say anything Emily Henry writes. I'll come back to that again, because you can always find any of her books that have authors in it. And it had some others, but I must not have grabbed it in time. Yeah, I don't think I had any specific ones because I already covered them and I won't repeat the same ones. Nobody else for this slide had any? We're going? Or maybe not. All right.
Any of the
favorite books.
watching has any, so.
What was that?
If anyone watching has any great ideas for those, because that would be fun to read.
Absolutely. I know there's a ton out there. I was grabbing, my stack was getting too big to carry, so I was just going with what I got. Some of our favorites, books with people in the publishing industry in them. This is another really fun one. Anybody have any for this one?
I got to look it up. I know there's a James Patterson put out a book about, I think, librarian writers. I didn't get the name. Maybe I could post it on the link after. But he wrote an interesting book about the in the libraries getting writing out. So I think it's very interesting. I'll post it in after.
Did you read that one?
I did, yes.
I read it and I had mixed feelings about it. I liked some parts of it. I thought it was it definitely had some self-promotion going on in there as well. But he is James Patterson, so I guess he can get away with it.
He seems to be involved in so many different things, and that probably is hard for him not to promote him himself in some way.
Yes, but I love the idea of that. It like touched on all the different areas that books are involved. I had this is a nonfiction, and it's called Every Book Its Reader, The Power of the Printed Word to Stir the World. And it's just really interesting to look at it from kind of the perspective of all the books that are out there can, one person's creativity can spark a change in somebody's life in ways that the writer might not have even predicted when they were writing it or what they intended, but that every book out there is going to touch people's lives, and in what ways we don't know, and so we put it out there and see what happens. So that's a great one. And then publishing, I have a couple with people that run bookshops. I guess I kind of include bookshops in the publishing sort of interest umbrella. We have the Book of Speculation. I don't know if this one's gonna be. So I love the cover. I just think this is like really cool. It's kind of it makes me think of, have you ever seen those photos that people do where they have like the head, like the library students sometimes, where they like complete the picture of the book covers? Marigold, you know what I'm talking about? So it'll be like half of a face is maybe the cover, and they'll like perfectly put the book up to it and like complete the picture. We'll have to send you one, Mindy, so you can see what we're talking about. But this book always makes me think of this. And he's actually a librarian, and this one he's kind of trying to solve a mystery. I just looked at the time, so I'll try to go a bit quicker. This one is, and I don't think, do we have, oops, no. So I'll put this one in here. The Man Who Loved Books Too Much. This is another nonfiction about a guy that was going around stealing all the books, the really expensive books. And it's, a real story. So this one is really interesting, and it's not like massive, so not too bad of a read. And the bookshop of Yesterdays. Hopefully, if you're interested, go through as we're talking about these books and just grab them to write them down. And this one is actually about an English professor, and she's working on a book. in the meantime. And I think there's a fun like juxtaposition of book worlds and English worlds and all that coming together. Well, we made it through a lot of books in that time. But that was a lot of fun to see. And there's a lot of crossover too, which was really neat to see what we read and some of the ones that we want to read and want to get to. And then Mindy, I will let you talk about this one because my voice is starting to die tonight. Not to throw it out there for you, but we have a huge week in the Jane Austen world. So go ahead and share this one with us.
Oh, I think that you just said it correctly. It is such a big milestone here on January 28th, 1813. Pride and Prejudice was first published. So I feel like we all have at least one copy of this book on our shelves. Maybe a dozen copies.
Or two or three.
But it's kind of interesting to think that an obsession, if you will, began on yesterday for everybody who lives where we do in the Eastern time zone. I think this is interesting. I should have, oh gosh, I can't do math quickly, but what does this make it? 212 years?
Don't ask me to do math.
212-year-old text, right? That's something. I think that speaks volumes that 212 years on, we're not just celebrating this, but we continue to make adaptations, and it's great.
Absolutely. There's a really limited amount of books that are that old or near that old that are getting turned into, you get your Dickens, you get my mind just went completely blank. The Brontes, Wuthering Heights, like you get those classics that you see coming out. But I think across the board, the amount of Austen's books that get turned into adaptations over and over again, like nobody else compares to that. And her body of work and the way that it still has a grip on pop culture, even today, is just amazing, truly amazing. I really wish we could get a glimpse of what it was like for people to be browsing the lending library and to see Pride and Prejudice sitting on the shelf so many years ago. Like, were they excited? Did it take, a little while like books do for people to start telling their friends, you need to go check this book out because it's so good?
Well, and with the various volumes, right? You might be able to find the first volume, and then you might have to wait because wherever you were, the second or third was already out. So it kind of harkens back to the conversation earlier where it's like, I can't get my ebook or my audiobook. We feel as though we've progressed, but maybe we haven't because we still have to wait our turn to get our library books.
That's so true. The volume aspect of lending libraries is really fascinating history of what they were doing to split the books and to make more money and get people to be getting them little bits at a time. I think I would go crazy if we were still getting volumes, but I think now they just kind of like tease us into series, which is sort of the same thing. But when you look at the volumes of Pride and Prejudice, like they were really not getting that much at a time. If you had to wait for the next volume, you were like really waiting on a cliffhanger there until you get the next one, which is fascinating to see. So, well, we condensed it pretty well tonight. I think we got in everything. We'll have to save DNFing conversation for next week. Maybe we'll get into that topic a little bit and talk about what makes us stop reading. When do you know to let go of a book? Do you ever let go of a book? And yeah, there's going to be so much more. I think this year is going to be like constant stream of Austen news coming out too. And we will keep our eyes open if there's another trailer that comes out for Miss Austen. I haven't seen anything yet. Have you guys noticed anything new? No. We will.
Or are you saying it's coming?
Absolutely. Yeah. We'll be on top of it. We'll watch it all together every time we see them. Any new trailers or any new announcements coming out. And again, if you want to join us for our February book club, in the description below is the link to get over to the Patreon community. You can hang out with us over there. And until next week, Hope everybody gets lots of reading time in and has a wonderful and warm, if you're like Mindy, week ahead of you. Take care, everybody. Goodbye.